As the wind erodes and the water corrodes, altering everything we think we know, but we don't. It's all temporary, and it used to, but now the thought doesn't scare me or keep my feet from following one after another until I slumber. Then my mind and my feet wander and dream of people and places I'll never see again. I've mended as much mental anguish as I can, and now I try to use this language to take these thoughts from my head to my pen. Cause though I don't speak of my dead friends or the circumstances, often the blow never softens or yields. I'm in a desolate field, lonesome stargazing, night blazing, chasing traces of remembrance and reverence of relevant friends and acquaintances, and faceless and nameless names and faces. And while my mind is racing through these photo albums and quotations, all these people and places far from me, for only land and stars I see when I'm outside of the Mile High City, which is not my city, for I was born 1,000 miles northeast of there in the land of beer and lakes and pistol fire on MLK's birthday, where there is no minorities and segregation's mandatory. But that's a whole nother story altogether, and no matter the weather or hardships that any place brings, I'll still laugh when people shiver and say it's freezing, or say, hey, no wait, I already had 18 mixed drinks, but I guess it's a Midwest thing, and I'm a mess from a dirty city and brought most of this filth I've gathered with me.
Welcome to episode 19 of Experience Andy Weins Live. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of waiting. Wait, why am I talking? We're going to talk about why it's so important that we wait when we're in the middle of conversations to ensure that we have the best of conversations. Coming up after the verse.
My work labors on as lovers sleep in each other's arms, remaining calm and collect. I begin my self-reflection process of redemption. Honestly, I don't know where this road leads, or if I'm even going. Could be rowing upstream, or worse, chasing my dreams to the peak, to finally be somebody doing something with what I have, rather than saying again and again that I can't and I won't anymore from this day forward. Cause Lord knows the past is set in stone, the present is yours to mold and to use for future uses. I know I'm a nuisance, I'm told, cause I'm neither young nor old, nor giant nor gnome. I don't sleep on these streets usually, though I've made thrones of my own. I don't sit well with idle hands, though don't know what to do when I'm home all alone. I'm a menace thrown from society, and as it lies to me, I'll smile silently as others do as they please. I am watching and listening, and I'm grinning all the while, cause sometimes all you can really do is smile. So as the work labors on, I'll keep on singing my songs, and this day is never done. We just keep on spinning around that sun, and well, through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.
Welcome to episode 19 of Experience Andy Weins Live. We're going to be talking about the importance of waiting today. It's a topic that I am excited to dive into. First, though, let's take care of some housekeeping notes. My good friend Meg Schmidt asked me to promote an event she has coming up. It is the First Friday quarterly get-together free of charge. She's having this next Thursday. My brain and days were locked up there. Next Thursday, the 8th of February. It's going to be at 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Let's call it 5 p.m. 5 p.m., 1700 at the Summit Credit Union on Greenfield Avenue in West Allis, Greenfield and Highway 4145 for the people that are in the greater Milwaukee area. For people outside the greater Milwaukee area, First Friday is an online group. They meet every first Friday, as it's aptly named, at 10:30 a.m. You can ask me or drop me an email looking for an invite for that. Basically, it's for sole proprietors and business owners throughout the entire country to get together and share best tips, tricks, ideas. It's one of the very few things I still do that's virtual in a post-pandemic world. So the group's been getting together for years. They went virtual during the pandemic, and now they're back in person quarterly for their evening events, which is one Thursday a quarter. There is her event. Go and check it out. Second thing we like to do before we get into it, let's talk about gratitude and what we are grateful for. And this week, I am grateful for one person in particular, Lynn Karazi. He's known as the data magician here in Milwaukee and many other circles. Lynn Karazi, data magician, is known for taking people's data and figuring out what is it telling you, right? He's essentially a fractional CFO that does not look for long-term jobs, more looks for projects anywhere from 6 months to like 36 months with companies to really understand what is the data telling them. So he is the data magician. And moreover, he is really, he's the president this year of Corporate Casual, and he's really the spearhead of Corporate Casual, which is a networking group that gets together here in Milwaukee. About 6 months ago, I got invited to a free event. I had a good time. I like Lynn. I've known him for years. He supported me when we had Young Guns and other endeavors I've had. Now I support him with Corporate Casual. And he reached out to me about 3 weeks ago via text message and said, "Hey, Andy, our speaker canceled in January. Would you be willing to hop on and be the speaker this month?" And I said, absolutely. He gave me 45 minutes to have an audience of about 30 people. And we had a great time. I've got several text messages and emails from people from that event and what did they learn from that. And so it's always I'm always appreciative of stage time. I love being in front of people, keynote speaking, sharing the ideas in my book, very similar ideas that we talk about here. We really leaned into should, could, can, will, transforming an obligation to an opportunity, a possibility, and finally a commitment. And we really made some headway in a workshop style format with that group. And I made some great connections along the way. All right. We got our housekeeping. We got our gratitude. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. And today we're going to talk about waiting. In the military, we have two methods of operation: hurry up and wait. And so I love the idea of wait. Famously, Chuck Norris has two speeds: wait and kill. Those are the only two speeds he has. And now I've thought about the word wait a little bit different. About 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I was working with my counselor, which I see my counselor every other week. And I was talking about some conversations I had recently with people professionally and personally, and where I was really struggling in the conversations because both people, myself included, were talking to be heard and were arguing to be right instead of taking the time to really understand the root cause of the problem, understand where the other person's coming from, and then come to a place of acceptance. And so the acronym WAIT. Why am I talking? There's a little trick she gave me. And I combined that and I thought about that. Okay, why am I talking? And I think about this program. Why do I come on here every week and share my ideas? Well, because I want to influence the world. And I'm 19 episodes into this thing, and I've been creating content for years. And every week I get the opportunity to share my ideas. Matt Rife, who's one of the top comedians in the world, was on the circuit, doing 11 years on the circuit, about to quit, making less than 50 grand a year. And now he's made excess of $20 million last year because he continued to be consistent in his craft. And so I think to myself, why am I here? Why am I talking? Why do I take the time? And it's because I love talking about this. This fuels me. It energizes me. And it gives me more opportunities to get in front of audiences like Lynn provided with Corporate Casual. And yet there's other times in my conversations, other times I'm talking to people, and I'm talking and I don't have a great reason why I'm talking. Or I'm talking to win the argument. I'm talking to be right. I'm talking to fill dead air. And since I've taken that tool, the why am I talking tool, it's really allowed me to focus on, all right, is this a good time to listen? Is this a good time to let the stillness happen? Or is it a good time to really respond and be present and give of myself? There's a show I watch, Love on the Spectrum, which talks about young adults primarily that have autism and they're dating. And one of the things with people with autism, they're either very, very talkative or very, very quiet. And I thought it was interesting because I'm one of those people, like I lean into that. I always want to fill the dead air. I don't like silence, right? Quiet people scare me because you never know what they're thinking. So often I am one that's filling the dead air with noise for noise sake. So I have to think about that. And that gets us to our next acronym, THINK. This was shared with me by my girlfriend the other day. THINK, she brought up to me, right? And before we talk, we wait. And then when we talk, it's got to pass the sniff test. And we call it the think test. First off, is what you're saying true? Is it qualifiable or quantifiable? Or is it something you're pulling out of your ass because you're not sure and yet you want to be heard? Second thing, is it helpful? Does this information move the conversation forward? Are you providing information that'll be beneficial to multiple people in the conversation? Or are you talking to be heard or to be right? Third thing, is it inspiring? Will people get behind it? Will people join you and unite and be aligned with you? Or are you going to say something that's going to push people away? Fourth thing that people sometimes are guilty of, is it necessary? If someone is spiraling or having a tough time, is it necessary for you to pile on additional failures they had? Or if they're frustrated with somebody that's toxic in their life, is it necessary to remind them how bad that person is? Often we think we're being helpful, and yet is it necessary for you to pile on and add more facts when they're already pretty sure of the facts? And the fifth one is it kind? And I often think about what my grandma always said, right? If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I've shifted that. I'm more, if you have nothing productive to say, don't say anything at all. And you can say things that can be complicated, can be difficult to stomach, and yet there is a way to do it in a kind manner. This is certainly the one I struggle with the most. I'd rather be honest than kind, and yet there's a way to be strong and honest and transparent and still human in your approach. And it's something I certainly struggle with. So when you go through your conversations this week, it's going to be a real simple exercise. First, wait. Second, think. And then the third piece of my book is going back to the why are you talking? What kind of conversation are you having? Are you having a consulting, a convincing, or converting conversation? All three of those conversations are very different. And they are very much in line with the teacher, leader, preacher methodology I use when I think about who is influencing me. So let's think about this. Teachers consult. They give you information that is unbiased. That's the goal. Give you information, allow you, the learner, the listener, to take that information in and decide for yourself. Second type of conversation you can be having, a conversation where you're looking to convince somebody. And then that's now a leader, right? You want to be influential, or a salesperson. You want them to change their behaviors. You want them to act a certain way that they were or were not acting. Sometimes you're convincing them to continue doing what they're already doing. You're encouraging them. And ultimately, you want them to change their behavior, which is different than consulting when you want to give them information and you want to allow them to change their own behavior. You're merely giving them the information. And finally, the third type of conversation we hear with preachers and politicians even is converting you. They're not looking to give you information. They're not looking to change your behavior necessarily. They want to change your values, your beliefs, the root of who you are. Ultimately, that will potentially change your actions and it will give you more information. However, they're looking to convert you to their ideology. And once you start listening to yourself speak, because you're waiting ahead of time, why am I talking? You're thinking ahead of time, truthful, helpful, inspiring, necessary, kind, then get yourself the test. Are you showing up and being the person the other person needs? Are they looking for information and you're consulting with them? Are they looking for recommendations or a course of action and now you're going to convince them to do something or another? Are they completely rudderless, directionless, clueless, helpless, and you want to convert them to a certain way of feeling and understanding and seeing the world? Often the reason why we miss in communication with other people is because we don't truly know what they want. And even there's another type of conversation. You typically see this with husbands and wives or significant others. Someone will come home from work and they're venting, they're complaining, and someone wants to solve the problem. And finally, the question needs to be asked, are you looking to vent or are you looking for a solution? And if they're looking to vent, sometimes, okay, let them vent. Consult with them. Like, yeah, that does sound logical. Well, have you thought about this? And work them through the problem versus getting into that convincing conversation where you say, well, you should do this, or have you thought about that, or Mary needs to pick up the shit, right? Ultimately, they're consulting with you. They want to just diarrhea of the mouth. They want to get it out. And then it's your obligation at that point to listen, and then possibly connect the dots that they may not see, or sit back and listen because they're processing the information as they go. When you wait, when you think, and when you understand what the person you're talking to is looking for and what you want to get out of the conversation, because certainly you're half of this equation. When you do those three things, you will reduce all this noise and all these barriers and all this miscommunication. So, my challenge to you is very simple this week. Look at some of the best conversations you've had recently. Run them past the test. Did you wait? Why am I talking? Did you understand why you were in the conversation? Did you think and go through that acronym? Was it truthful, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind? And then finally, what was the result of the conversation? Did you consult with them and give them information? Did you convince them to change their behaviors, or did you convert them into a new way of thinking? When we do the self-reflection, often people think self-reflection is the last step. I will argue this. No. And it's taken me years to understand this. Self-reflection is the first step. Because when you do self-reflection, you become self-aware. And when you are self-aware, you can self-regulate. So my challenge is here. Start here. Start with the self-reflection. Look back at conversations. Run them through this analysis that I've given you here today. Then sit with, how did you show up? Did you show up the way that you wanted to show up? And then the next conversation you have with this person or with this subject matter, right? We want some things to stay consistent. How will you show up? What will you tell yourself ahead of time so that you end up with the conversation you're looking for? That is this week's challenge. We've set forth our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goals. We've broken things down into small, achievable chunks. We've talked about busting through barriers. Now, get out in this world and share your ideals with the world. Share this knowledge that you have now seen with others. Communicate effectively. Wait, think, and understand why I'm in this conversation more than just why am I talking. As always, I thank you for joining me this week. And whenever you are unsure of what to do next, the 3-step methodology that I give you every week will often solve the problem. Doing the work is the first step. Do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world. Show the fuck up. And we'll see you next week.
Through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.